Okay, sorry for the delay. पहले तो वहाँ सर्वर से इशू आ रहा था, फिर मेरा लैपटॉप क्रैश हो गया. Sorry. So let's begin. Uh, Assalamu alaikum everyone, and our topic for today is peptic ulcer disease and the treatment. Basically, the treatment, pharmacological treatment of peptic ulcer disease. So let's get going. We have only I say barely 30 minutes left. So let's make it quick. And uh, so what is peptic ulcer disease basically? And it's an ulcer of the alimentary tract mucosa basically, and usually happens in the stomach or the duodenum. It barely happens in the lower esophagus as well as sometimes, but it's usually happening in the stomach or duodenal mucosa. The only exception we have when it can happen in the lower esophagus is जब lower esophagus की जो mucosa है, it converts into मेटाप्लेजिया हो जाए, उसमें कोलमनार मेटाप्लेजिया में कन्वर्ट हो जाए, गैस्ट्रिक मेटाप्लेजिया में कन्वर्ट हो जाए, गैस्ट्रिक म्यूकोजा में कन्वर्ट हो जाए. That's the only time when an ulcer can happen in the esophagus. Otherwise, it's usually limited to the stomach or the duodenum. So what happens? You see, this is the ulcer you can see in the cardiac region. This is the body basically of the stomach. You can see it in the duodenal bulb as well. So presentation क्या होती है ulcer की? Recurrent epigastric pain होती है, which is the most common symptom. Then you can have burning. It occurs usually after 1 to 3 hours after the meal, and it's the characteristic इसमें feature क्या होता है कि in duodenal ulcer it is relieved by food. So when a patient has a duodenal ulcer, they are not afraid of eating. They're not afraid of taking meals क्योंकि इससे taking a meal relieves the pain of the ulcer. Whereas in gastric ulcer, it's precipitated by food. तो बेसिकली गैस्ट्रिक अल्सर और duodenal अल्सर को आप एक पेशेंट को देखोगे तो हाउ कैन यू डिफरेंशिएट कि गैस्ट्रिक अल्सर वाला जो पेशेंट होता है, दे यूजुअली इमैसिएटेड, वेट लॉस हुआ हुआ होता है, एनोरेक्सिया होता है उनको. व्हाई? बिकॉज दे आर अफ्रेड ऑफ टेकिंग फूड, बिकॉज इट प्रेसिपिटेट्स द पेन. It is relieved by antacids. It radiates to the back, and it also happens in the patients taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Also, it presents with nausea, vomiting, dyspepsia, chest discomfort, anorexia, weight loss की हमने बात की. Weight loss and anorexia happens in gastric ulcer. Why? Because patients, they are afraid of eating food because it precipitates the pain. Hematemesis or malignant results from gastrointestinal bleeding. इसकी भी हम आगे बात करेंगे. So you see, this is a normal duodenal bulb, and you see this. This is the ulcer. You see this. This is the ulcer, and you see the surrounding mucosa. It's inflamed, hyperemic है पूरी, inflamed VV mucosa, and this is the duodenal ulcer. Same goes for the stomach. You see this. This is the gastric ulcer. This is the gastric ulcer. So complications of ulcer disease क्या हो सकती है? Either it can bleed, it can perforate, it can cause chronic anemia due to minimal bleeding. Over the time जो है ना ulcers can bleed like बहुत subclinically और जो है ना उसमें bleed करते रहते हैं. And अगर chronically persist करें तो they can cause substantial inflammation, which can decrease the lumen of the stomach or the duodenum, and it can cause gastric outlet or duodenal obstruction. Remember one thing कि bleeding जो होती है, that अगर आप duodenum को consider करो तो duodenum has an anterior wall and a posterior wall. So anterior ulcers, they tend to perforate, and the posterior ulcers, they tend to erode into the gastro-duodenal artery and cause the bleeding. So anterior ulcers usually perforate, and posterior ulcers, they tend to bleed. So treatment goals of peptic ulcer, हम लोगों को क्या क्या करना है? We have to provide rapid relief of all the symptoms. We have to promote the healing of ulcer. We have to prevent recurrence. We have to reduce the complications that are ulcer related. We have to reduce the morbidity, and we have to reduce the mortality as well. Okay, moving on. We have the drugs that are for the eradication of H. pylori. Can you guys hear me? Guys, can you hear me?
जी सर, आ रही है आपकी आवाज आ रही है?
ठीक है चलो let's move on. I got it. Let's move on. Okay, so these are all the drugs that we are going to discuss. And basically H. pylori की हम लोग क्यों बात करते हैं, क्योंकि H. pylori is the principal agent microorganism which is associated with gastric and duodenal ulcers. And one thing that we have to remember is gastric ulcers are usually, they can lead towards malignancy, whereas duodenal ulcers, they are not, they are seldom malignant. So yeah, gastric ulcers tend to be more malignant than duodenal ulcers. Last two slides. Okay, let's see which last two slides. Basically treatment goals हम लोगों ने देखे थे कि क्या क्या हम बात करेंगे. We have to provide rapid relief of the symptoms की हमने बात की क्या क्या होते हैं. Then we have to provide healing of the ulcer. We have to prevent the recurrences, and then we have to reduce the complications, reduce the morbidity, and reduce the mortality. इससे पहले वाला basically was nothing. So first we talk about NSAIDs, the ulcers induced by non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So management कैसे होगी? The healing of an ulcer requires, आप क्या करोगे if the patient is taking NSAIDs. तो basically NSAID induced जो ulcer होता है उसको आप कैसे prevent करोगे? या तो आप patient को NSAID से withdraw करवा दो. Either you can withdraw the patient from the NSAIDs, or what you can do is you can start the treatment as we discussed before. सही है? तो उसमें क्या होगा कि if possible NSAIDs should be stopped, as healing with the histamine H2 receptor antagonist will be faster than if the NSAID is continued. So basically, if the patient is on NSAID and he's taking a certain treatment, and the patient who is not taking the NSAID and he's taking the treatment, जो patient NSAID नहीं लेता उसमें healing faster होगी. This is what the slide is trying to tell us. And PPIs have been shown in 3 randomized controlled trials to be more effective than ranitidine or misoprostol for healing NSAID ulcers. सही है, ये भी इसकी आगे हम बात करेंगे. So basically a patient who is जिसकी हमने NSAID stop करवा दी है उसमें healing faster हो जाएगी. The first class of drugs is H2 receptor antagonists. These agents are basically capable of 90% reduction in basal and food stimulated secretion of gastric acid after single dose. Studies have demonstrated that their effectiveness in promoting the healing of duodenal ulcer and gastric ulcer and preventing their recurrence. And these meds are equally effective in treating these conditions. So basically, पहले क्या होता था? पहले the recommendations were that you have to administer these H2 antagonists twice a day, at least twice a day. A single. Now what we do is even clinically, we give a single bedtime dose, and it has a equal effectiveness as compared to the 2 doses. And if it is administered for 6 weeks, it can heal the duodenal ulcer 75% of the cases, and 8 weeks में it can heal the ulcer up to 90% of the cases. So the drugs you have to remember to say ranitidine, all the TIDINE drugs, cimetidine, ranitidine, famotidine, and nicetidine. These are the drugs, and usually पहले देते थे, अभी भी देते हैं BD twice a day, लेकिन the more proper and adequate dosage is once a day, usually before bedtime, क्योंकि इसकी effectiveness same है. Should be taken for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Pharmacokinetics, basically it's rapidly absorbed after 1 to 3 hours. Ranitidine and cimetidine are hepatically metabolized. Not really, not at your level right now, maybe in the upcoming 4th or final year, but I don't think it's important at your level. But ये याद रखो कि once a day is more important than giving twice a day. Ranitidine and cimetidine are hepatically metabolized, whereas famotidine and nicetidine are renally excreted. Guys, can we do one thing? Just ask the questions at the end, क्योंकि अभी हम लोग अगर बीच में बार-बार रुकते रहेंगे तो time हमारे पास वैसे कम है. So let's just do the questions at the end, okay? So famotidine and nicetidine are renally excreted, and ranitidine and cimetidine are hepatically metabolized. Dose adjustment is needed in some renal and hepatic failure patients, okay? So moving on. Side effects usually minor होते हैं, not occurring in elderly patients. Hepatotoxicity occurs with ranitidine, and cimetidine is the most important drug in this class of group, class of drug. Why? Because इसकी interactions बहुत ज़्यादा होती हैं. So you have to remember कि cimetidine character से किसके cases आते हैं उसमें exam में. सही है. तो you have to remember कि cimetidine क्या करती है? It elevates the serum prolactin levels and it alters the estrogen metabolism in men. It causes gynecomastia. Characteristic ये straight up question आता है exam में कि a patient taking H2 antagonist develops gynecomastia. So what's the drug that he's using? तो cimetidine याद रखनी है कि cimetidine सबसे important इसलिए है क्योंकि इसके drug interactions बहुत हैं and it causes serious side effects in significant side effects in males. Gynecomastia करवाता है, galactorrhea करवाता है and reduced sperm count करवाता है. Cimetidine also shows microsomal metabolism, slows down the microsomal metabolism of some drugs and it causes this in a dose dependent but reversible manner. जितनी ज़्यादा आप ड्रग दोगे उतना ज़्यादा जो ना वो उसको ऑल्टर करेगा मेटाबॉलिज्म को, बट इट्स यूजुअली रिवर्सिबल. It inhibits the metabolism of warfarin, theophylline, diazepam, and phenytoin. Whereas ranitidine has less effects on hepatic enzymes. So if a patient is taking one of these drugs, it's better to switch the patient on a drug which is having less effect on the hepatic enzymes, such as ranitidine have no effect on hepatic drug metabolism, and combining H2 inhibitor with an antacid has little rationale, although it is done. Over-the-counter H2 blockers are now available and labeled for short-term use in heartburn and dyspepsia. So basically, you have to remember the names of the drug in this class, and you have to remember the effects of cimetidine. Moving on to proton pump inhibitors. Do they have the same acid inhibition as anti-H2? No. They are the most potent and the most effective class of drugs in this chapter. They are amongst the anti-secretory drugs, and they can inhibit gastric acid secretion with a greater efficacy than anti-H2 drugs. They are the most superior class of drugs in this chapter. So these are all the prazole drugs: omeprazole, lansoprazole, pantoprazole, rabeprazole, and esomeprazole. Basically, वो वाले drugs क्या थे? H2 class वाले drugs थे. They were tidine drugs: famotidine, cimetidine, ranitidine, nicetidine. These are the prazole drugs: omeprazole, lansoprazole, pantoprazole. These are the first generations. And then the second generation, we have rabeprazole and esomeprazole. So what's the pharmacological effect? PPIs doses dependently inhibit the basal and food acid secretion. They decrease the pepsinogen secretion, and due to increase in the intragastric pH, they inhibit the proteolytic activity of pepsin. Basically, होता क्या है? Pepsinogen जब release होता है, what it needs is it needs an acidic environment to convert into pepsin. So basically, when you're using proton pump inhibitors, what you're doing is आप gastric pH जो है उसको बढ़ा रहे हो, उसको alkaline तरफ ले जा रहे हो, neutral तरफ ले जा रहे हो. तो you're increasing the gastric pH, and due to that, pepsinogen will be secretion will be decreased, और उसकी conversion भी slow हो जाएगी. ठीक है? So it will inhibit the proteolytic activity of pepsin. Most common adverse reactions include episodes of diarrhea, nausea, abdominal pain, dizziness, headache, or skin rash. These manifestations are often most often transient and moderate in severity, not requiring reductions in compound dosage. However, in some studies, we have now seen that chronic use of PPI over the जिनको chronic peptic ulcer disease होती है, and they don't go towards surgery or any other sort of treatment. When they're using PPIs, the studies have shown that those people develop osteoporotic-like changes. So yeah, so these are still in not confirmed, but still एक जो ना research process में है, लेकिन they have shown osteoporosis-like changes. In some patients continuously taking PPIs, a mild vitamin B12 deficiency has been seen as a result of decreased vitamin absorption. This is due to impaired release of vitamin from food, because this is a process enhanced by the presence of intragastric acid environment. It's the gastric pH, and the release of vitamin from food will not occur, and absorption will not take place. So should be administered while fasting and before a meal, so that at the time of the meal or the digestion, the peak plasma concentration is reached. There is also a maximum of proton pumps activated. For treatment of duodenal and gastric ulcers, it should be used for around 4 to 6 weeks. It should be used before a half an hour or an hour before taking a meal. So the question is, how can PPIs have a short half-life and they have a long-lasting effect? Hota basically kya hai, the PPIs, what they do is they bind to the hydrogen potassium ATPase pump irreversibly. वो जब irreversibly bind करते हैं, तो the body needs to produce more these pumps. So वो जो pumps होते हैं जिसपे PPIs bind करते हैं, they are rendered ineffective. वो बिल्कुल ineffective हो जाते हैं. So what you need to do, the body needs to do is produce more synthesis of new enzymes. तो उसके लिए टाइम लगता है 24 to 48 hours. That's why even though they have a short plasma half-life, they exert a persistent pharmacological action because they bind irreversibly to the proton pump and they render the necessary synthesis of new enzymes to re-establish gastric acid secretion. ठीक है? Metabolism. They undergo extensive first-pass metabolism in the liver, resulting in various inactive metabolites that are excreted in the urine or the bile. They are metabolized by the cytochrome P450 system, mainly by the CYP2C19 and CYP3A4. So metabolized by the first pass metabolism takes place in the liver and resulting in various inactive metabolites. Esomeprazole is the S isomer of omeprazole. Pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic studies suggest that this isomer undergoes less first-pass hepatic metabolism in the liver and has a lower plasma clearance as compared with omeprazole. Drug interactions, theoretically, their influence on phenytoin, carbamazepine, warfarin, and diazepam, again, should be monitored. Moving on to the anti-muscarinics, what they do is they block the M1 class of the receptors and reduce the acid production. They reduce the production of acid and they abolish the gastrointestinal spasm. Basically, ये anti-motility and anticholinergic वो हैं. And the names of the drugs are pirenzepine and tilenzepine. They reduce the meal-stimulated HCl secretion by the reversible blockade of M1 receptors on the gastric ganglia. And they are unpopular as a first choice because of high incidence of anticholinergic side effects such as dry mouth and blurred vision. Again, they decrease the motility of the stomach as well. So they are not the first choice of drugs. Then we have the cytoprotective agents such as sucralfate. What is sucralfate? It's basically a complex of aluminum hydroxide and sulfated sucrose. What it does is, its mechanism of action क्या है? It binds, basically ulcer. So it coats around the ulcer base and the surface. How it does that is it binds to the positively charged groups in proteins and glycoproteins of the necrotic tissue. Basically, ulcer जो होता है वो होता क्या है उसमें basically उसमें dead slough पड़ा हुआ होता है और necrotic tissue होता है. So necrotic tissue में जो glycoproteins और proteins होते हैं उनके positive charges पे आकर ये sucralfate bind कर लेता है. And it is not absorbed systematically. So it basically covers the ulcerated surface and protects it from the damage to the further damage जो ना protect करता है इसको from the HCl. It requires an acidic media to dissolve and coats the ulcerated tissue. So it cannot be given with H2 antagonists, PPIs and antacids. Basically H2 antagonists, PPIs और antacids तीनों क्या करते हैं? Gastric acidity को कम करते हैं. So it requires acidic media to dissolve. तो इसको आप other combination of drugs के साथ नहीं दे सकते. It should not be given with food. Why? Again, because food in the stomach will cause the secretion of gastric acid, and it will be this sucralfate will be rendered ineffective. Those again not important. It must be given for 6 to 8 weeks. The only thing is that it's a large tablet and difficult to swallow. Constipation. It can cause constipation, black stool, and dry mouth. However, it is very safe in pregnancy. Prostaglandin agonist, PGE1, prostaglandin E1 agonist, the pivotal drug is misoprostol. What it does is it inhibits the secretion of HCl and stimulates the secretion of mucus and bicarbines. It is a methyl analog of prostaglandin E1 and it is approved for the prevention of ulcer induced by NSAIDs. It should be given 4 times per day, so it's very inconvenient. Side effects iske kya hai basically? Up to 20% of the patients, they develop diarrhea and cramps, and it can cause uterine bleeding, abortion, and exacerbation of inflammatory bowel disease and should be avoided in patients with this disorder. हम लोगों ने पहले भी पढ़ा, आप लोगों ने शायद पढ़ा हो कि this drug misoprostol is used to induce abortion in patients who do not want their pregnancy to continue, or for some medical reasons unki pregnancy ko abort karna hota hai, so we use this drug. What it does is it causes smooth muscle contractions. इसकी वजह से क्या होता है, abortion happen होती है यूट्रस में, uterine smooth muscle contraction induce करती है ये, it leads to abortion which will lead to uterine bleeding. Also it can exacerbate the inflammatory bowel disease. Why? Causing the smooth muscle to contract. It can cause complications in inflammatory bowel disease. Antacids are weak base. Number 5th class of drugs are antacids. They are basically weak bases that react with gastric acid to form water and a salt. Basically, they neutralize the acid in the stomach. And moving on, there's 3 different types. एक तो systemic होता है. Systemic में हमारे पास कौन सा आता है? We have the calcium carbonate, which is a systemic, not the calcium carbonate. We have the bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate. These ones, sodium bicarbonate, aluminum hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, and calcium carbonate. These are the local acting antacids. They require large neutralizing capacity. Basically, hota kya hai, it's not very important just to go through it. A single dose of 156 millielectrocoulomb antacid given 1 hour after meal effectively neutralizes the gastric acid for 2 hours. Basically, when you take a meal, uske 1 hour, 1 घंटे के बाद अगर आप एक antacid देते हैं एक certain dose में, for let's just say 156 MEQ, so it effectively neutralizes the gastric acid for 2 hours. सही है. उसके फौरन बाद आपको a second dose is given 3 hours after eating, maintains the effectiveness for over 4 hours. So basically, you take 1 dose of antacid 1 hour after the meal, वो उसको 2 hours के लिए acid को neutralize कर देगा. और जब 2 hours complete हो जाएंगे, then you have to take one more dose of antacid, which will further neutralize the acid for 1 more hour. तो आपको 4 hours का basically relief मिल जाता है. It's not very important. ये कोई इतनी rocket science नहीं है कि इसको याद रखे. बस ये याद रखना होता है कि this meal is taken, this drug is usually taken post meal, not pre meal. Okay, इसको after the meal लेते हैं क्योंकि acid production होती है in the presence of food in the stomach, and then you take the antacid which neutralizes the acid in the and converts it into salt and the water. Side effects: aluminum hydroxide antacids cause constipation, whereas magnesium hydroxide may produce diarrhea, so they are used in combination. Calcium carbonate containing antacids work rapidly and very effectively, but large doses may cause calciuria, so इनको बहुत उसके लिए use किया जाता है. Aluminum hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide, they are used in combination. Why? Because one causes constipation and the other one causes diarrhea respectively. So this is basically a chart, a table, which is depicting the summary basically. नहीं, you're right, some antacids release CO2, but उसकी production कोई इतनी कोई वो नहीं होती कि जो ना it can cause in the same way जो salt बनती है, it's not necessary कि जो ना वो hypertensive patients में इतनी ज़्यादा वो trouble cause नहीं करती वो. So aluminum hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide is safe to take in nearly all sort of patients. The salts usually वो वाली salts नहीं होती जो ना एक तो उनकी quantity इतनी नहीं होती कि it can induce a ऐसा कोई रिएक्शन इंड्यूस करें या ऐसी कोई जो ना वाटर को अट्रैक्ट करें कि हाइपरटेंसिव क्राइसिस में पेशेंट चले जाए. ठीक है. सो एंटासिड्स बेसिकली इनका मैकेनिज्म क्या है? दे न्यूट्रलाइज द एसिड. magnesium hydroxide causes diarrhea, aluminum hydroxide causes constipation, and calcium carbonate antacids also cause constipation. H2 receptor antagonists, they block the histamine receptor. इसमें हम लोगों ने बात की थी कि the most important one to remember is cimetidine. Why? Because it interacts with the CYP450 class of enzymes, and it also causes it also alters the metabolism of estrogen in men, so it can cause gynecomastia and galactorrhea in men, characteristically in men. Prostaglandin agonist में हम लोगों ने बात की थी कि it's an prostaglandin agonist. It causes the production of bicarbs and mucus, and it can cause diarrhea, cramps, and it can cause abortion in pregnant females, so it's contraindicated. It also exacerbates the inflammatory bowel disorder. ठीक है. Then moving on to the PPIs, which are the hydrogen potassium ATPase inhibitors. They basically irreversibly inhibit the proton pumps, and they can cause hypergastrinemia. सुक्रोल्फेट की हमने बात की थी कि सुक्रोल्फेट क्या करता है, इट बाइंड्स टू द positively charged proteins and glycoproteins present in the necrotic tissue of the ulcer. It can cause constipation, and in some cases it can cause black stools. Now moving on to the antibiotics for H. pylori eradication. H. pylori is the most is a culprit basically for most of the cases of duodenal ulcer and gastric ulcer. We all know it's a gram-negative rod. So its eradication significantly reduces the risk of ulcer recurrence and rebleeding, and it's less expensive than chronic anti-secretory therapy. Basically, अगर आप H. pylori eradication नहीं लेते हो and you have a gastric ulcer or a duodenal ulcer, you have to take lifelong medications जो हमने अभी discuss की, और इसके बाद भी there's chances के the ulcer जो है ना, it can burst, it can erode, or it can bleed, it can perforate. So basically the cost जो होगी वो ज़्यादा होगी as compared to just using the eradication therapy. So continuing the anti-secretory therapy for greater than 2 weeks following antibiotic treatment is unnecessary after H. pylori eradication. Until recently, the recommended duration of therapy for H. pylori eradication was 10 to 14 days. Although not proven, potential benefits of shorter regimen include better compliance. Basically, what this is saying कि there's therapies carrying on to up to 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So इसमें ये होता है patient compliance खराब हो जाती है, एक expensive भी पड़ जाता है, ये कुछ लोग नहीं afford कर सकते, कुछ लोग भूल जाते हैं medication लेना. So that's there's drug effects भी ज़्यादा आते हैं, और cost भी जो है ना वो होती है बढ़ जाती है patient के लिए as compared to the treatment which is done for 10 to 14 days. Compliance जितना shorter duration of treatment होगा, compliance और हर चीज़ जो है ना उतनी अच्छी होगी patient की. The most commonly reported adverse events were nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, and a bitter or metallic taste in the mouth is associated with eradication regimens containing clarithromycin. Bismuth subsalicylate may cause a temporary grayish-black discoloration of the stools. Basically, treatment regimen क्या है? You take 1 PPI, omeprazole 20 mg twice a day. I think, if I'm not wrong, जो ट्रिपल रेजिमेंट थेरेपी होती है, जो ये जो थेरेपी है, आई थिंक इफ इट्स आस्क्ड, ये आपसे वाइवा में शायद पूछा जाए थर्ड ईयर में. आई एम नॉट श्योर कि वो पूछेंगे नहीं पूछेंगे, बट दिस डेफिनेटली शोज अप इन द फोर्थ ईयर एंड फिफ्थ ईयर एग्जाम्स. सो इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि आप याद रखो, बट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर द रेजिमेंट. आप डोज भले याद ना रखो इस फॉर थर्ड ईयर, बट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर द रेजिमेंट्स ऑफ द ट्रीटमेंट. What I was saying कि आपको you have to remember the regimen. It's not important कि अभी आप dosage याद रखें. And so the first regimen, which is the most important regimen जो सबसे ज़्यादा commonly used है, which is omeprazole, PPI, and 2 antibiotics. Omeprazole is the antibiotic which is given. Omeprazole is an anti-secretory drug which is given along with with amoxicillin and clarithromycin. This is the triple regimen carrying on for 14 days. Then the other one is the same one. इसमें भी यही है, बस इसमें जो ना आपने PPI चेंज कर दिया, 1 PPI and 2 antibiotics आपने कंटिन्यू किए हैं इसमें. सही है, 10 to 14 days. Then the third regimen is bismuth subsalicylate, metronidazole, tetracycline, and histamine H2 blocker. The first two ones are the most important ones which you have to remember. And the third, एक तीसरा जो इसमें mention नहीं हुआ हुआ, which is 1 PPI, amoxicillin, and metronidazole. Either of these two drugs, amoxicillin, the first one omeprazole देंगे, amoxicillin या clarithromycin में से एक drug देंगे, और third one हम देते हैं metronidazole. तो ये तीसरी एक regimen है जो बहुत important है. Again, all these regimens are used, but the most important ones जो हमने आपको अभी बात की है, the first one is 1 PPI, 2 antibiotics. इसमें omeprazole, amoxicillin, and clarithromycin हो गया, and omeprazole, either of these 2 antibiotics, and metronidazole. ये third regimen, ये important है याद रखना. Then we have different, again, bismuth subsalicylate आ गई, amoxicillin आ गई, metronidazole आ गई, and lansoprazole हो गई. Basically, bismuth, PPIs, augmentin, amoxicillin, amoxicillin, and clarithromycin and metronidazole. ये drugs हैं जो regimens में use होते हैं. And basically the treatment usually carries on to up to 10 to 14 days. सही है? So the first two ones and the third one which I told you is important to remember. इन दो तीनों की जो है ना वो जो होती है 10 to 15% जो है ना इसकी वो 10 to 15 days की इसकी वो होती है, 2 weeks की usually duration होती है, and eradication rates reach up to 80 to 90% in these cases. ठीक है? So this is basically the eradication of H. pylori, और हमने उसकी भी बात कर ली. What do we call all the anti-secretory or the anti-peptic ulcer disease drugs. Any questions? We have to make it quick because why? अभी मुझे कॉल आई है पीछे से क्योंकि इट्स टाइम खत्म हो गया, वहाँ डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी डाउ से बंद हो रही है, सो दोस गाइस हैव टू क्लोज इट डाउन, सो मेक श्योर लेट्स जस्ट मेक इट फास्ट. ये इसमें हाउ डज पीपीआई इंड्यूस ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस, इसमें बेसिकली अभी रिसर्च चल रही है, बट व्हाट इट डज इज इसमें ये कहा जा रहा है कि जो हाइड्रोजन पोटेशियम एटीपीएस पंप्स होते हैं वो बेसिकली बोन उसमें भी प्रोड्यूस होते हैं, सो व्हेन उसमें भी प्रेजेंट होते हैं, बोन सरफेस बोन जो मैट्रिक्स होता है उसमें प्रेजेंट होते हैं, सो व्हेन इट्स इनहिबिटिंग इन द स्टमक इट्स आल्सो डूइंग इट इन द बोन्स. सो बेसिकली दिस इज अभी एक उसमें चल रहा है रिसर्च प्रोसेस में, बट दिस इज द अभी जो हम लोगों को एक्सप्लेनेशन मिली है वो ये है. It's not confirmed yet, but this is the mechanism which is being. Yeah, I'm sorry. They should have started the class early. असल में ये लोग rotation basis पे चल रहे होते हैं. And then sorry for the delay. मेरा laptop crash हुआ था. I was waiting from since 2 p.m. Any more questions, guys? Make it quick, क्योंकि I don't think the points will wait for these guys. They have to leave at 3:15. Any further questions? PPIs use not really. प्रोटीन malabsorption नहीं होती. पेप्सिनोजन वो डाइजेस्ट होता है, लेकिन इससे प्रोटीन malabsorption नहीं होती PPI यूज से. What if symptoms recur after few months having? What if symptoms recur after few months having therapy? If the symptoms recur after few months of therapy, then what you do is you move on to फार्माकोलॉजिकल ट्रीटमेंट से आप हटके फिर आप जो है ना सर्जिकल ट्रीटमेंट की तरफ जाते हो. उसमें एंडोस्कोपी वगैरह होती है. देन यू सी वेयर द गैस्ट्रिक अल्सर इज और द डुओडेनल अल्सर इज, उसकी क्या सिचुएशन है, उसके हिसाब से फिर उसकी सर्जरी और वो सर्जिकल ट्रीटमेंट होती है. दैट्स नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट एट योर लेवल. Any more questions, guys? Come on. Let's make it quick. I think no more questions, so we should end the class. Okay.